Go to the football field now. The huddle broke at Browns rookie mini camp for the first time Friday in Ohio, with, of course, all eyes on Shedeur Sanders. But the Browns have two rookie QBs in their room, as they also selected Dillon Gabriel in the third round. Kevin Stefanski has called it an open competition in Cleveland. However, should be noted, Gabriel took the first snap of team drills in minicamp, not Sanders. You know who's there for it? NFL reporter Kimberly A. Martin joins us now from outside of the Browns practice facility. And Martin, I know you were at camp yesterday. What more can you tell us about how Shedeur looked and what they were saying about him in his first day at camp?
Yeah, listen, Shay, a lot is being thrown at Shedeur Sanders, as is the case with all of these rookies who are trying to get up to speed on this playbook. And here's one thing that stood out yesterday after the first day of practice. You know, typically on day one, coaches will see those quote-unquote rookie jitters. But both Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel showcase flashes of that same poise and that passing ability that we saw in their college careers. And that was a good sign. Now, as you said, it's still early. It's still day one. But, in practice, they had a longer 7-on-7 period to accommodate the two quarterbacks. And as you noted, Dillon Gabriel did take the first reps of the team period. And I can tell you, as we were waiting for Stefanski, we saw Shedeur Sanders. He was one of the last players to leave the field. He stayed late to kind of throw passes to a rookie tryout. So, again, these are just the first early days of rookie minicamp.
Just starting to get to work, right? But Sanders is one of four quarterbacks currently on the roster. And so this is going to continue to be a thing, Kimberly. So what did Kevin Stefanski have to say about this entire quarterback situation?
I'm glad that we are at least mentioning Dillon Gabriel, because he is another quarterback that is here, and a lot of attention on Shedeur. But, Kevin Stefanski was asked pointedly, tell us about how did you decide that Dillon should get the first reps? And typical Kevin Stefanski fashion, he said, I wouldn't read into that. I think Stefanski's main point yesterday was this competition is ongoing, and rookie minicamp is part instruction, part competition. But there's a lot of work that has to be done. These guys have to take what they're learning in the meeting room, bring it out onto the field. So, Shay, as much as we want to know who is going to be the Browns quarterback this season, we are so many months away from that, and this is just the first step. So let's not read into it, but we're going to be watching today because we're going to hear from these quarterbacks a little later.
Of course, we're going to read into it. That's what we do here at ESPN. And I'm over here talking about four quarterbacks in the QB room. I mean, we should add five. Deshaun Watson is still in that quarterback room as well, although it's very unlikely we see him on the field. He still will be a part, I will assume, meetings and whatnot. Kmart, I am sure I will talk to you a lot over the next couple of days and weeks. Thanks, Kmart. Appreciate you.
Senior NFL writer Jeremy Fowler joins us now. He said that this Cleveland quarterbacks competition is going to be all-encompassing evaluation. And obviously they have Kenny Pickett there. They have Joe Flacco as well. What are you hearing about the two rookies, though, at first glance?
Yeah, so they're going to keep four quarterbacks, Hannah, throughout the offseason leading into training camp. So Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders will have plenty of opportunities to make their impression and to try to make the team. That's really their first goal. They have to do that because the Browns are probably going to keep at a max three quarterbacks. Somebody's going to be the odd man out. So Sanders has been as advertised as far as what the Browns liked in the pre-draft process: accuracy, decision-making. They want to see him build on that. But the tricky part for him is they're really high on Gabriel. They essentially overdrafted him in the third round just to ensure that they got him. I was told the Browns are really surprised that the media never picked up pre-draft very much on how high they were in Gabriel with their private workouts with him, with bringing him in for a top 30 visit. So he's still in a pretty good position right here, and we'll see. Now, I'm talking to people around the league. They wouldn't be surprised if the Browns try to swing a trade eventually with one of these four quarterbacks, because they look at that position as currency, as value. So if somebody plays well in the preseason, maybe they'll be in a new uniform.
Yeah, it's going to be really fascinating to see. You know what they say when you have multiple quarterbacks that you have.
Browns rookie minicamp begins on Friday. Shedeur Sanders will be joining a crowded quarterback room with fellow rookie Dillon Gabriel and veterans Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Deshaun Watson, who is currently recovering from a torn Achilles. Sanders got taken in the fifth round of the draft. Cleveland has started 40 different quarterbacks since 1999, the most in the NFL. NFL reporter Jeff Darlington and NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck with us right now. And Jeff, I'll start with you. What are the Browns' plans for Shedeur Sanders with rookie minicamp just days away?
Well, I can tell you, in a word, competition, the beginning of a competition. Now, we should be very clear about this. This is still a rookie minicamp, and this is not a place where anything gets decided other than allowing rookies to kind of understand some of the inner workings of the NFL when it comes to meeting rooms, a little bit of just the equipment room, understanding getting on the field. by no means will anything be decided. That being said, I cannot remember a more anticipated competition between two rookies entering a camp than this one. And that is because either of these guys do have the potential of winning this job in time for week one. Yes, we've perhaps seen more talented rookie quarterbacks. I think back to Robert Griffin III and Kirk Cousins when they were there, but there was no competition there. That was RG3's job. In this instance, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders both could win this job, albeit they won't be able to win it until they get in veteran camp when they're up against those other players that you just named.
The next statement, the Browns will start at least 3 quarterbacks in 2025. Is that QB or not QB?
That's QB for me. Joe Flacco, who I said earlier in the show I thought would be the opening day starter, he has not started an entire season for over 7 seasons. So that means that if he's the starter, they're probably playing somebody else. Maybe that's Kenny Pickett, because he's a guy that, was the backup in Philadelphia, helped them start games last year. And then I think we'll get to the rookie class. And so whether it's Shedeur Sanders, whether it's Dillon Gabriel, I think we'll see at least 3 quarterbacks in Cleveland as the starting signal caller at some point this year.
I mean,
John, when it comes to these two, a lot of eyes on the 3rd rounder and 5th rounder. We would never ever say that in any other situation here, but these 2 names are definitely the ones that we're paying attention to. But if you had to be a coach there, who are you giving more love to between the 2?
Yeah, that is absolutely a great question. Look, you're the Cleveland Browns. You're the first team in 12 years to use 2 picks in the first 5 rounds on quarterbacks. And now you're going to go into rookie minicamp. The Browns should put this on live television. So I think the whole country is enthralled by who might win this QB battle, which kind of starts this week with Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. You just looked at those numbers there. I think if Dillon Gabriel gives you one advantage over Shedeur Sanders, it's that he doesn't take sacks. And that's such a huge thing in the NFL. You don't want a quarterback who takes sacks. That's a monstrous number there for Shedeur Sanders, taking 89 over the past 2 seasons. And the yards per attempt there. Dillon Gabriel with the bigger number. And one thing he does is he gets rid of the ball quickly. He processes really fast. And so that's what you like about him and what he did at Oregon. You look at what Shedeur Sanders did at Colorado. He loved throwing the short routes, threw more yards behind the line of scrimmage than almost any quarterback in FBS during his final season with the Buffaloes. So I think once rookie minicamp starts, it will be interesting to see how Kevin Stefanski handles both of these quarterbacks. And honestly, I think all the pressure is on Shedeur Sanders this week. Not that there's a ton of pressure on you at rookie minicamp, but if he goes out there and doesn't look great, then you're going to have a lot of people saying, well, that's why he fell to the 5th round. He wasn't ready for the NFL. These teams were right not to draft him. But then, if he plays well, it's, well, the Browns maybe got a steal, but this is why he was a projected 1st-round pick. So I think Shedeur Sanders is under a little bit more pressure than Dillon Gabriel to look good during rookie minicamp this week.
Breach, when it comes to these 2, I mean, obviously, you want to see if Shedeur can actually make the roster. The same thing with Dillon Gabriel, of course, going 3rd round. And outside of that, you still have Flacco. You still have Kenny Pickett, who they signed, and Deshaun Watson will not be available. But chances the 2 rookies make it on this roster, you think that's a chance there in Cleveland?
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I would bet on both rookies making the roster. The last time we saw a situation like this was when Washington drafted RG3 and Kirk Cousins in the same season. Both guys made that roster, and that's what you kind of want to do. When you don't have a quarterback, your best route going forward is kind of to develop a quarterback. And so I think that's what Kevin Stefanski is going to want to do with Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. So I think when you talk about who is going to be the odd man out in that quarterback room, because I do not think the Cleveland Browns are going to have 4 quarterbacks on their roster once week 1 rolls around. So we'll take Deshaun Watson out of there. So when you look at Sanders, Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, I think only 3 of those guys make it to week 1. Joe Flacco has had a lot of success in that Browns offense. We saw him kind of carry Cleveland to the playoffs a couple years ago. On the other hand, Kenny Pickett struggled a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Pickett ends up being the odd man out. But I do think that Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders both make the roster in Cleveland.
All right, Breach, you're Andrew Berry, week 1. Give me your depth chart. 3, 4, what we thinking?
My depth chart week 1, I'm probably putting Joe Flacco as the starter. You've got the veteran guy. You roll with him to start the season. And if he plays well, you let him keep playing. We've seen Joe Flacco play great in these 3, 4, 5-week spurts. So let Joe Flacco play until October, and then once those struggle bus eventually comes, then you turn to one of the rookies. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see both Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel at some point during the 2025 season.
The 2025 NFL Draft was full of surprises, but perhaps none more intriguing than the quarterback gambit pulled by the Cleveland Browns. In a move that stunned analysts, baffled fans, and instantly set social media ablaze, the Browns walked away with not one, but two of the most talked about quarterbacks in the class: Oregon's Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round, and Colorado's Shedeur Sanders in the 5th. Once projected as a potential first-round pick, Sanders' dramatic fall today 3 left many teams scratching their heads. But the Browns pounced, even after already investing in Gabriel, arguably the most experienced quarterback in NCAA history. Now, the Browns' QB room is a powder keg of talent, ambition, and uncertainty, primed to explode into one of the most gripping storylines of the NFL offseason. The Browns began their quarterback journey in round 3, selecting Dillon Gabriel out of Oregon. Standing 5'11" and weighing in at 205 pounds, Gabriel doesn't have ideal NFL size, but what he lacks in stature, he makes up for in experience and production. In 2024, he led Oregon to a 13-1 record, a Big Ten title, and a near playoff berth, while racking up 3,857 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. He added 7 scores on the ground and posted a sterling 72.9% completion rate. He also walked away with Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year honors and a Heisman Trophy finalist nod. The numbers speak volumes. Gabriel holds the FBS record for total touchdowns, 189, is tied with Case Keenum for all-time passing touchdowns, 155, and sits second all-time in career passing yards, 18,722. His track record of decision-making, accuracy, and leadership made him a no-brainer, according to GM Andrew Berry. We felt his body of work and command of the offense made him someone who could come in and compete right away, said Berry. He's incredibly decisive and accurate, and he plays with a poise that translates. Naturally, most assumed that would be the end of the Browns' quarterback shopping. But then came round 5, and the unexpected plunge of Shedeur Sanders was too tempting to ignore. Sanders' draft tumble was among the biggest shocks of the weekend. The son of NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, Shedeur had been hyped for months as a likely day 1 or day 2 pick. His pocket presence, accuracy, and charisma made him a media darling. But 10 interceptions in 2024 and a staggering 94 sacks taken over 2 seasons at Colorado raised red flags. Teams grew wary of his decision-making under pressure, and questions about his temperament in interviews lingered. Still, when Sanders was still available in round 5, Berry didn't hesitate. It wasn't necessarily the plan to take 2 quarterbacks, Berry explained. But when a talent like Shedeur is on the board that late, you trust your board. He's highly accurate, smart, and played a ton of ball. We didn't expect him to be available, and we felt the value was too high to pass up. Despite online rumors that Browns owner Jimmy Haslam forced the pick, Cleveland insider Mary Kay Cabot shut those theories down quickly. Haslam lets Berry do his job, she wrote. Berry has final say on all roster decisions, and he's earned that autonomy. With Gabriel and Sanders now in the mix, the Browns find themselves with 5 quarterbacks heading into minicamp. Veterans Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, the 2 rookies, and an injured Deshaun Watson, whose future remains a mystery. Watson's Achilles injury could sideline him for all of 2025, opening the door for an intense battle for the starting job. Gabriel, given his 3rd-round status and immediate placement above Sanders on the depth chart, enters as the early favorite. The Browns were particularly impressed with his interviews at the NFL Combine, his football IQ, and his refusal to turn the ball over. He's addicted to winning, Gabriel said of himself. It's a habit. You've got to win every day. Shedeur Sanders offers exciting upside with his arm talent and poise, and while the Browns recognize his flaws, they see enough potential to justify adding him to an already crowded quarterback room. After years of instability at the position, Cleveland appears to be hitting reset, hoping either Sanders or third-round pick Dillon Gabriel can emerge as a franchise leader. With rookie minicamp and OTAs approaching, the competition is wide open. Gabriel's experience may give him an edge early, but if Sanders finds his groove, the Browns might have landed a steal. Either way, Cleveland's quarterback situation has become one of the most compelling storylines of the offseason. The high-stakes world of professional football, headlines are usually reserved for game-changing plays, off-season trades, and championship dreams. But this week, the Cleveland Browns found themselves at the center of a far more troubling narrative. Linebacker Devin Bush, a recent addition to the Browns' defensive roster, was arrested Sunday night in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, facing charges of simple assault and harassment following a disturbing domestic incident. The news sent shockwaves through the Browns organization and ignited broader conversations about accountability, personal conduct, and the fragile intersection of fame and responsibility. According to police reports, officers were dispatched to Bush's residence in Sewickley, a quiet, affluent suburb just outside Pittsburgh, after a 911 call was placed from a neighboring home. Bush's girlfriend, whose identity has not been publicly released, is said to have fled the residence and sought help from a neighbor following an escalating altercation. Authorities say the incident stemmed from a heated argument between the couple that quickly turned physical. Court documents allege that Bush not only physically restrained the woman during the dispute, but also forcibly took her phone and smashed it, an act that authorities interpret as an attempt to prevent her from contacting emergency services. The woman reportedly sustained minor injuries during the encounter, including bruising and scratches. Police on the scene noted visible signs of distress, and Bush was arrested without incident. In his statement to the police, Bush admitted to breaking the phone but denied physically assaulting his girlfriend. He claimed the argument had become intense, but insisted there was no physical violence. Nonetheless, the damage to the phone and the alleged intent behind it were enough to charge him with simple assault and harassment under Pennsylvania law. Bush was released on bail and is scheduled to appear for a preliminary hearing on May 20th. Devin Bush entered the NFL with high expectations. Drafted 10th overall by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2019, the University of Michigan standout was known for his aggressive tackling and instinctive play at linebacker. After a strong rookie season, injuries and inconsistency hampered his performance over the next few years. In 2023, he signed with the Seattle Seahawks before being picked up by the Browns during the 2024 offseason as part of their ongoing effort to revamp their defensive core. For the Browns, signing Devin Bush was a calculated gamble, an opportunity to add a speedy, versatile linebacker with upside at a bargain price. At just 26, Bush had the tools to strengthen a defense that lacked depth at the position and fit well into Jim Schwartz's aggressive system. But instead of gearing up for training camp, Bush now finds himself facing legal issues that could jeopardize not only his spot on the roster, but his entire NFL career. The team responded cautiously, issuing a brief statement. "We are aware of the situation involving Devin Bush. We are currently gathering more information and have no further comment at this time." What was once a promising reclamation project has suddenly become a troubling dilemma for a franchise already under scrutiny. This boilerplate response is typical of NFL teams when legal matters involving players arise. Still, it leaves a lingering question over how the organization will handle Bush's status moving forward. Given the NFL's personal conduct policy, which allows the league to suspend players regardless of legal outcome, it's possible Bush could face disciplinary action from Commissioner Roger Goodell's office, even if charges are dropped or reduced. Browns fans, meanwhile, are split. Some have taken to social media demanding that the team cut ties with Bush immediately, while others are calling for due process. The incident also comes at a delicate time for the franchise, which has worked to reshape its image after years of turmoil, both on and off the field. Devin Bush's arrest adds to the NFL's ongoing struggle with off-field issues, particularly domestic violence and inconsistent disciplinary responses. His case stands out due to allegations of obstructing a call for help, an action often flagged as especially serious. With limited information available and a court appearance pending, Bush's future with the Browns remains uncertain. If the charges hold, he could face both league discipline and lasting reputational damage. If resolved quickly, he might still play this season. The situation underscores the broader challenge teams face in balancing talent with accountability and public trust.